Hi, I'd like to call the Finance Administration Committee meeting together for August 16th. Please note attendance would move to excuse Chairman Mayhew as he is out with family this weekend in the woods with no internet. Hearing no objections, so note him as excused, please. With that, we'll go ahead and proceed on with the agenda. All right, first, approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda for the committee tonight?
No.
All right, hearing none, we'll proceed forward with the agenda as presented. We now have opportunity for public comments or those within the meeting or within Zoom wishing to make comment before the committee for items not currently on the agenda. Mr. Watton, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Councilmember Holloway and Councilmember Christensen. Tonight, I want to commend Jen Ferguson on her work to improve our financial policies that she has forwarded to the council on June 14th. I implore this committee to focus on the work on 3 areas, and we've had a chance to review this document over the last 2 months, and I presume that all members have had a chance to do that. I think the first one is the words shall and may comes to mind, and that's shall is a directive and may provides guidance, and I believe it was Council Member Holloway who brought that to our attention in an earlier meeting. The second thing that we need to do is determine the appropriate level of reserves, which there's been some discussion around. In the nonprofit world, it's typically 3 to 6 months of reserves would be appropriate, and we should consider at least 15% of our budget towards that goal. And then the third thing is probably the most important, and that is we need a single financial document, policy document. And that's what Ms. Ferguson is proposing. I also remind everyone, and I've done this multiple times now through 2 different nonprofits, the very first thing an auditor will do, and I've led these proceedings before, is what are your financial policies? And when we have it in 3 or 4 places, it doesn't show that we've got really a good sense of what our financial policies are. And secondly, the work that Jen has put forward helps to show transparency in the financial policies that we have. I know that we've done a lot of discussing on this. We just need to move forward on it as quickly as possible. And I thank you for your support in getting it over to the council in a timely manner. Thank you much.
Thank you, Councilman Watton. Any other additional comments for the committee? All right, if not, we will proceed on with the agenda as submitted. First agenda item will be the approvals of minutes August 2nd and August 3rd for the Finance Administration and the Special Finance Administration meeting. I have no corrections or alterations. Same. All right. So move to approve the minutes as presented. You're okay, Kara? All right. They are Councilman Christensen, sorry. They are approved as submitted. And now on to approval of warrants and claims. Consideration of claims approved report dated August 22nd through 2020, August 22nd, 2022. Sorry, not through. Having reviewed, I have no questions, nor have I seen, somebody will advise me otherwise if it's not a true statement, but I have not seen questions in email in regards to the warrants.
I have not sent any either. I did have one quick request for a little bit of additional information, if that's all right.
Yep.
So Director Ferguson, just for that case Kbcm investment purchase, CUSIP number 3, $995,000. I was just hoping for just a little bit of information on that. It's page 6 of the PDF. That's helpful. It's just up at the top.
Chair and Councilmember Christensen, what you're referring to is the KBCM investment purchase. What that is we had a maturity of one of our investments.
Okay.
It was commercial paper. And so we essentially then reinvested in a new investment type, and that was the purchase of that. So we have a short-term ladder and a long-term ladder according to current investment policy. And so what that was is that that maturity then rolled over, and this is the purchase of that new investment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, no further questions? All right,
Thank you.
seeing no further questions, we'll move the warrants on to council for the next meeting. Let me get back to the agenda. All right, now we'll move into agenda bills. First one, Agenda Bill AB 22-112, Staffing Plan, Mid-Budget Revision for a Behavioral Health Specialist. This one's hard to say no to. Who would speak this?
I like what you're saying there. I almost feel like I shouldn't even come up here. Thank you for allowing me to, once again, talk about this. I hope you don't have to go, well, yes, I do hope you have to go through this 3 times. Behavioral health specialists, it's something that we've talked about for a long time on this, and I hope you've had an opportunity to read the brief memo that I had attached to it. But this is an opportunity that we've been looking for a significant amount of time. And why? Why are we looking at this? It's been an issue for law enforcement and for communities for many years. When we are the first responders to go to these type of calls where somebody's in crisis, and we are kind of the de facto solution, if you will, but we are not the ones that are trained nor experienced on how to do that. Yes, we do get CIT, crisis intervention training, which is required. So that alone shows the need that we have some ability to deal with people in crisis. But in reality, we are not the people to do that. And over the years, there's been many attempts to try and solve this issue, and some have been successful. We've had the opportunity with the last year's police reform legislation that went through. There was it brought up discussion because one of the legislative approvals was dealing with our ability to detain, if you will, somebody in crisis if they needed to be taken for some kind of health crisis service. And so the discussion was had, and in that discussion, we have been very blessed to have representatives and people in the legislature, and Mayor Ross and past Mayor Larson as well, and North Bend Mayor McFarland, to really champion this effort and voice their hopes that we would have some ability to have a behavioral health specialist on board, if you will. And Representative Lisa Kellen really took it and actually wrote the job description. She was very interested and very surprised in our initial conversation. She took it, and within a week or two, she actually had a draft she forwarded, and off of that, she actually went to the legislator and got $150,000 approved for a seed money, if you will, for 1 year of behavioral health specialist salary, workstation, and so forth, to pay for that first year to kind of get us going forward. Through this time, we've had commitments, verbal commitments from North Bend. They're very interested in this. We met with the city administrator, Miller, and also the mayor more than 3 or 4 times regarding this specific issue, and they are supportive of that, and we will be going forward. In fact, I'm doing this presentation before their city council in North Bend on September 20th. If this council goes ahead and moves it forward as well, I will be going before them to, for their half, if you will, to pay for the additional monies moving forward. I don't want and don't hope that this is not just a one-time, 1-year deal. This is a new way of doing things. Many other departments and cities are doing it in different ways. We're going to do something a little different, and it's kind of piqued the interest of some people throughout the state that this person will be embedded within the police department and will be responding to calls for service with us. They're going to have a case management where they're going to help people, because as you can imagine, when we go to a call for service, dealing with somebody in mental health crisis. We then leave and there's no follow-up really. And in this condition right now that we wait up to 6 hours for somebody to help us. And that's usually after the crisis is had. And so we want to make sure that somebody's with us when that crisis is happening. And so that was my hope. And that is what is proposed tonight, is that position would be embedded within the police department. Our fire department will also be involved, but probably 80% of the calls for service will go through the law enforcement side of it. We will also be impacting not just the communities of North Bend in the long term, hopefully, not just North Bend and Snoqualmie, but also the Upper Valley. I mean, we're dealing with the same group and we want to make sure that we're not just touching them once and then going to the next call and touching them again and again and again. We want to make sure that if we have somebody that needs help, that we're able to follow them through that, get the resources together to make sure that they do get the help that's needed, not just during that crisis. And so that's as brief presentation regarding this. I am passionate about this. I think that this is something that could really help us out. It could really help this community out, quality of life. And there are people that are in need. We handled over 400 calls for service in the past 2 years dealing with people in crisis. So there is a definite need out there.
The grant is a one-time 150K?
Yes, sir. It's a fiscal year, was funded in July 1st of this year. I'm working with the Washington State Health Care System, and they're the funding source, if you will, and that's who I'm working through. And the funding is through the last day of June of 2023. At that point, we either, and I'm going to be it's going to be in my proposal for the mayor's budget for that position as well, moving forward. I think that this is the seed money, as I said earlier, to get this program going. It also allows us an opportunity to see how effective it is, to see how it works.
No, and I agree with that. We're a bit indefinite in the write-up that this is at this stage a one-year position and needs to be reconsidered as part of ongoing budget discussions for inclusion for the follow-on years. So if we could tighten that up a bit, yeah, and we should have the discussion and squish things around to help you out there, but I do want to force that discussion.
I'm not sure how that's going to be in the mayor's budget. I have made that proposal for the upcoming 2023-2024 biennial budget.
Agreed. It's just, this agenda bill just says I'm increasing by one head,
Okay.
but doesn't do it, based on the funding you have, what's the duration of that increase?
Very good.
It just leaves it as indefinite, which we need to have that budget discussion to get that money in there so that it can be an ongoing thing. In the meantime, it's a one-year duration based on the grant.
Will do.
I'm just channeling the chair. Sorry.
No, that's great. Great question.
Any other questions, Kara?
I was just gonna say, I appreciate the second round of discussion on this. I know that you're very passionate about it. I think it's a fantastic program and I'm excited about it. You did touch on a number of things that I had questions about, which was how it would be paid for going forward and wanting to confirm that it was gonna be in the biennial budget for Snoqualmie, as well as finding that piece for North Bend as well, both of which you've covered, which is helpful. One of the questions that I did have, which may not be as germane to this conversation in particular, but how will it work if the person who's ultimately going to fill the position is on call 24/7?
Well, they're not going to be on call 24/7.
Okay.
They're initially, and I mentioned this last night, was one of the kind of exciting things about this program is they're going to be able to, along with myself and Chief Carrera, develop how this looks, meaning hours as well. Yeah. So initially it's going to be a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 kind of job, but there's going to be some flexibility there on the need. So if we show through data that there's more need on, say, nights or on a weekend, that flexibility is there, that they may have to adjust that schedule to reflect that need. So initially it will be a Monday through Friday.
Okay. And then my second question, so I guess the country's moved forward with the 988 phone number, basically, if someone's in mental health crisis. Will there be any interplay between behavioral health coordinator here and that number, or are they going to be separate programs?
Again, that's one of the exciting things about this. Actually, King County Council Member Perry has convened a monthly meeting where the local cities that are doing these type of opportunities for mental health are getting together and talking about how they do it, differences, what's working, what's not working. And so that's bringing everybody together, the resources together. There's also right now a discussion going on about having kind of a one-stop shop. Where do you take this person to? Because right now, it's not even a solution. We take them to the hospital and then we wait for 6 hours sometimes for somebody. There's much discussion, and it's actually growing, and that is to have kind of a one-stop shop here within our area. It might be located in Issaquah, but where we could actually take that person who's in crisis and have all the resources in that one location. Part of the job description for this position is that they coordinate those resources and bring people together, because I don't even know what all those are. And I don't think anybody really knows all the resources and what they can do. And that's part of the job that they're going to have, is to kind of identify those, bring them together. How can they help us out and fill what our needs are? And so that's one of the things they're going to work on.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mayor?
Any questions from online? Hear none. This, with that caveat note of duration, this is a good thing. Move forward. And such a good thing. I'd like to keep it on the FNA agenda versus consent. I'll get to that.
Council agenda?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
And let me get back up. With that, let's move to Agenda Bill 22-119, Resolution 1623, declaring surplus property and authorizing sale of city property, IT Department. Where are you keeping all this stuff? Holy buckets.
Evening, I'm Chris Miller, the interim IT director. We currently have for disposal a long list of equipment that is ready to be removed from us. Right now we have ready 3 printers, 34 laptops and tablets, 78 monitors, 8 desktop phones, 26 hard drives, 169 cell phones, and 23 mobile hotspots. None of this equipment is serviceable. It's all either broken or damaged equipment that's been replaced over the last 6 years that I've been here, and we've just been stockpiling it. I'm unsure why it's been stockpiled, but we are ready to get rid of it. Our plan is to reach out to a local recycling company, 3R namely, and they will take in all this equipment, give us a scrap credit, and with that credit, we're looking to have some hard drives destroyed. That's the way how we dispose of them. They run it through a big giant shredder. They give us a certificate of destruction, and we don't have to worry about any of data leakage or any of that sort. This list is not 100% done. Well, this list is done. This isn't the end of our surplus. We do have more equipment, but this is what we need to get out to make space in our server room so we can get rid of even more equipment.
And none of this, even the monitors, are serviceable?
These are all damaged items that have been replaced over the years.
Okay, that heads me off with the pass. Any questions?
I'm glad to see that they're going to be recycled and that we'll get a benefit to the city for that. I was shocked to see how much equipment there was. Really, truly shocked.
It's quite a bit, yes.
But I guess I'm glad that we're getting rid of it to make space. So.
Okay. Any questions from online? I don't see any offhand. Okay, and I'm okay with this on consent.
Nice job clearing it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it's been packing up that long, how do you get in the room?
We don't.
With that, let's move on to discussion items. Enterprise Resource Planning Project update.
Good evening. Yes, a lot of work has been happening over the last couple months, and I'd like to share it with everyone.
Please.
So, there you go. So we are currently still in the charts of accounts, finance, and system-wide portion of our project. We are going to, normally I start out with a kind of what's all been happening and come to the risk last. I want to start this month with where we're at from a risk perspective. We went from being in the yellow, trending towards a possible delay in project, to actually being able to turn it around and be on the positive good. We're back in the green, as we like to say. So the team has done a wonderful job, and I'd really like to focus on some of the accomplishments that they've been able to have contributed to. So over the last 2 months, from a chart of accounts perspective, we have been able to start exporting the existing account structure from Springbrook, our legacy system, and utilizing that. Our senior finance manager has been able to start building our cross-reference table, which has allowed us to build out what that translation will look like and what we'll be able to use in the new system with their formatting. There's been 160 plus hours dedicated to this over the last 2 months. There's been so much that's been going into it. Funds, org, segments, objects, all the pieces have been put together and built. We have done multiple imports into the system to test it in our test environment and have been validating and making corrections. We are scheduled next week to move the chart into production, where we'll start to utilize and build out the current structure for our environment.
Did you freeze? Oh.
Sorry, I forgot I had to double click. So from a financial module perspective, we have started 84 hours of analysis sessions across the departments attending these events or these sessions. There's been about 336 hours is what it takes to have employee time sitting in on these meetings from finance, parks and public works, our city clerk's office, and our IT department to really start understanding what we have today and what we want to look like that in the future. By the end of this month, we'll be completely through the analysis stage of this project, and we'll be building into the power user training and configuration, which really means is the people that are going to own the product are going to really get to sit down, start to build out what that looks like in our new environment, and start testing and trying things out. So between now and spring of next year, our focus is really building and making our new environment. To get there, again, a lot of work has gone on. We've had every department has participated in this to really help us build this out. We had a series of analysis questions that we sent out across the city, and we really want to thank everyone, I guess, too, as this is the response and contribution we've had really has helped move us forward. We're currently, from a chart of accounts perspective, in the validate and test of our last important iteration. And as I said, we're getting ready to move into the production environment. We'll also start building out an access to understand once the crosswalk is complete, we'll be able to match back and forth and make a tool that the city can use across the board to do that and help support that as well. And we're also merging data. So just aside from the current years and the current accounts, we'll be bringing history over as well. So that means that we're not only matching today what exists, we have to go back and match 5 years back to make sure that those translate into where the data will be for audit and other purposes going down the road. For the financial module, we are currently working through both the finance and the system-wide pieces. And the reason why I bring system-wide under financial modules, each section of the project, whether it be the human resources, the asset management, utility billing, or finance, all have their own system-wide trainings that we'll go through for reporting and things like that. So this is just specific right now to the finance modules. We've had a total of 13 of the modules that we have been building out. We are working on now looking at the code and definitions and determining the parameters that will go into the new system. And through this, they've also started vendor cleanup, and we'll also do customer cleanup as well as we're moving forward, both in our current system as we go.
Hey,
And yes, sorry.
Your audio's somewhat dropping out. It may be a bandwidth issue. You might try to, you talk Italian, I like that. But you might mute your video so we get more of your audio coming through.
I can do that. Give me just a moment.
And I apologize for any Italians. I just misheard.
Well, my maiden name is Ardolino, so I think you're okay. Okay, hopefully this is better. But so we're starting to do our vendor cleanup, as I was saying, and from that we'll do some data formatting so that it can both be used in Munis to go forward, and then we'll be able to actually, the finance team will be able to update what we have today. So everything is matching as we're going forward. So for the next 30 days, from the chart of accounts perspective, we will be having a 4-hour session where we'll be able to ask questions, work through the chart once they are in production, really get to make any final tweaks. And the reason I call it that session is we have different Tyler consultants for each stage of the project. So right now we have someone who is focused on chart of accounts, and we have someone who's focused on finance. Once we finish chart of accounts though, we will not have this person readily available to us. So we're making time to ensure that we can iron the bugs out before we lose this resource.
Okay.
And then as I said, again, the code configuration, and there'll be about 40 hours of training in the next 30 days that'll be set aside specifically for this portion of the project. Other work we're doing aside from the current modules, under the human resource and management section, we started having meetings to start preparing and identifying today what the information is out there that we have, discuss what we'll be doing in the future, and really making sure we're set to go into the next module and all the data is in one place. We know where it is. With all the changes happening over the last year in the city, we want to make sure and start off strong. From an asset management perspective, we also met with a Tyler Asset Management PM. They were able to provide us documents and answer some questions that our Parks and Public Works Director had for starting out. So now we've provided that data to him and his team, and they'll start working and preparing for their implementation down the road. And just to kind of sum it all up, this is a high overview of the timeline and where we're at. The chart of accounts is wrapping up. We're in the green. Finance, we're making good progress in the green there. And we will shortly be rolling into focus on payroll HR. Then next year, utility billing and asset management. And then, also, just so everyone is aware, the year is still the dashboard out on our project website that has a look of where we're at, the tasks and stuff that are in progress, what is happening to date. Again, how that breaks down. We currently have no tasks at risk. All of our milestones that are coming up. And then if you're very interested in the actual detailed project plan, you can scroll through that as well there. Any questions?
I guess just a quick question. So we're heading into finance at the beginning. So is there a list of basically finance processes, or in my vernacular, it's called process threads, that finance goes through that we have identified as we'll test the system simulating that and see if it really meets our needs?
Yes. So that's actually what's coming up in the next, I want to say 4 to 5 months. So there is the setup portion next, which will be based on the parameters that we give to Tyler. And then Tyler has a set of testing that they recommend. And there is a set of testing we can come in and say we want to do too. So one of the steps would be anything that the finance team said, this is what we do on a daily basis. We'll run those reports, we'll set that up, we'll make tweaks and things like that over the next handful of months.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any questions from the attendees online? I see none. Thank you very much. It was good information.
Thank you. And I apologize about the audio. Next time I'll make sure and use my phone instead.
And back to the agenda. Next discussion, where'd we go? Financial quarterly performance reporting? Who's going to speak that?
Good evening, Chair. Back in June, the finance team brought forward a sample quarterly report. Our goal is to develop a consistent framework for delivering financial health to the city council in reporting. And I see that the sample report is not included, and so I'd like to share my screen and talk about what the structure of that report looks like. Our goal is to receive feedback from the council so that we can prepare a report that meets your needs.
Let me ask a question. When are you proposing to do the first report?
Well, if we can receive some feedback from the council, we would propose to create the report as of the end of September. September 30th would be the end of the third quarter. And so that would be our goal, is to start to develop that formal reporting mechanism to you.
And is your intent that the information you're going to show now is for committee or for committee and council come next Monday?
Well, this is an item that has been at the discussion level, so there has been no agenda, but we're certainly happy to share that with the full council next Monday. This was the first time we've been able to talk about this topic just because of the other work items on F&A. So this would be our first discussion of it. Whether or not you want to move that forward is your prerogative.
So my concern is, and I guess my request is, I perceive that one of your main sources of feedback would be the mayor pro tem, and he's not in attendance this week. Can we shift this to the next meeting so he's in attendance? Otherwise, we're more likely going to have to go over it again.
Doesn't he trust your judgment?
No comment.
Okay. Looks like Kara has her hand up.
Carrie,
I was
you
just
have
going to ask if it was thank you. I was just going to ask if it was the same document that had been circulated a couple months back.
Yes, this originally went to, I was just pulling up the last, the sample, and it was, I believe, the second F&A committee in June. So it has been some time.
Okay.
Okay, if you're still willing, and again, I caution we may do this again, but proceed on. I withdraw.
I'm fine with moving it either way. So it's up to you and up to the administration how you'd like to proceed.
Well, is there any impact to moving it in 2 weeks other than 2 weeks? Doesn't impact the ability to go ahead and work it and get it ready for a September run.
That's correct. We still will be preparing the third quarter report. We were hoping to receive council feedback on the contents and structure of that report, so that we're efficient and moving forward with providing good information.
Perhaps you guys give her feedback, and then if she does come back, she will implement your feedback into it.
Yeah, so you can send it to us in email, and can we do this conversation in 2 weeks? And in the meantime, it's action to us, the committee, to go ahead and look at the material and provide you feedback in the meantime, based on the material.
We can provide that in email, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm just trying to, I only have so many hours on this earth, so I'd rather spend them not doing the same thing twice. Thank you for your understanding.
All right, thank you.
All right, and with that, can we talk the Finance Administration Work Plan update? Was that you also, Jen?
No, that's usually me. That's usually me.
Oh, okay, sorry, never mind. I see finance and I think of you.
Carson, do you have that document available? If not, I will share my screen and. Did we lose him? Okay. Let me pull that open.
Or didn't, we had that in our package, didn't we?
Yes, you do have it in your packet. And I don't know why it's not bringing it up. I don't see it. Well, council, let me close out a couple of things. Maybe that's what my challenge is.
So is the addition basically adding an August 29th special Finance Administration Committee meeting at,
August 29th and an August 30th special meeting. You also have, let's see here. And then the work plan just goes over the different items that are scheduled for meetings down the road. Currently, of course, we'll move the financial quarterly performance reporting to the September 7th Finance and Administration Committee. You have two other items currently scheduled for September 7th. You have an MOU and participation form approving distributions to local governments of funds from the Washington attorney. That's one that the city attorney is working on. And then you may have a resolution terminating a retirement plan that's currently not being utilized at the city.
that may be another offer I can't refuse.
And I can keep going down the list, but that's what your next agenda looks like for the 7th.
But the real question for us is the 29th and 30th are added meetings.
That's, yes, that was done at the last meeting.
At our request, I believe, right?
No, that was done, that's correct, that was done at our last meeting. So I concur that the committee and council members can make meetings that they already agreed to.
Okay.
Are we taking that Monday?
So, yes, let's proceed with as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Was there anything else?
Basically, the work plan is just, I've built it out towards the end of the year to the extent possible. You have your minutes and your claims on each one, and as we have items that are also on our larger planning schedule, I've put it on the FNA's planning schedule so that you can look out ahead and maybe move things around as desired.
And you'll be here to the end?
To the end, right?
Wish.
I tried. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, with that, are there any matters not currently on the agenda wishing to be discussed? Councilor Christensen, we're good? I'm good. I see no hands raised online. So with that, I'll move to adjournment.
Nope.
Nope, wait a minute.
What'd I miss?
Council agenda? You still have the council
Oh,
agenda
council
to review
agenda.
for the 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah, just that nitnoid thing, council agenda. All right. I'm gonna take us to that. Okay, so we'll start with roundtable at 5 PM
6.
with ARPA discussion. Okay, we'll move to a regular meeting starting 7 PM, roll to order. Appointment Arts Commission, National Emergency Preparedness Month, minutes, warrants.
And I've already made the correction to add the surplus property to the consent agenda.
Was that the only consent agenda item we have this week?
No, you have your minutes and your claims report.
Okay.
AB 22-116, the South Correctional Entity Interlocal Housing Agreement has been pushed out to the next meeting, so that will not be on this meeting.
That was my
Okay.
question.
What about the accreditation report? Was he going to give it?
I believe so, yeah. Who's given it at public safety? Okay.
Staff and plan, okay. And then we'll have reports, mayor's report and liaison reports after that, and then adjournment. All right, so I think with the noted change, the one item on consent, one item comes off.
And there's one other item. I don't believe we're not going to have a discussion that evening on the 2023-2024 biennial budget. That was based on an older version of the planning schedule, but it's been
Okay.
updated, so that won't be on their
So
item.
that'll come off too. All right, so two items off, one item moved to consent.
So I
Oh, yes,
think we need to add the revised budget calendar.
all right, can we do that to committee of the whole?
Does that work? Yeah. Yes.
Unless you think that's an F and A item, but,
I don't know where we've done it before. Wherever we've done it before.
all right, let's do it committee of the whole.
Yep, we have done under the committee of the whole previously.
Cool. I was thinking right for once. Okay. With those alterations, we have any other changes or revisions? If not, then move to approve the agenda as discussed. Hearing no objections, we'll proceed forward. All right, with that, I think now I can move. Any objections to adjournment?
Did you
Oh.
do Tuesday? Tuesday's meeting as well?
Oh. I'm so anxious. All right. Let's talk Tuesday's meeting. We'll have special business at Snoqualmie Mill Planning, quasi judicial, and a closed session. Enough said on that, and then adjournment. I have no comments or anything to this.
Nope.
All right. All right. So this is also approved as presented, no modifications. And what am I missing now?
I believe that's it.
Took me twice. All right. With that, I will proceed to adjournment. Are any objections to adjourning? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.